My name is Jessica. I was a DSP at Park Place. I worked here from April 2012 until October 2012. I worked the 2 to 10 shift. I would be on the back hall in a room. I'd work with clients who were either half deaf or half blind. And I would get here and they would usually be doing activities, and then we'd get ready for supper and sometimes showers in between. And then I would just make my rounds and walk around. My first paranormal experience I had while working at Park Place, I was leaving the break room and walking down the hall towards the kitchen, heading back to my room area just to check on everybody. And I had heard footsteps, so I stopped. And when I stopped, they stopped. And so I was like, okay, I'll just keep walking. And as I was walking again, I kept hearing them. And when I stopped and turned around, there was nothing there. And usually, sometimes I had someone play tricks on me, and so I just thought it was them. And then once I figured out that no one was there, there was an eerie feeling after that. And every time I would be around the kitchen or that hallway, it was just not something I wanted to stay with. I would avoid that area if I could. Another paranormal experience I had while working at Park Place was I was walking down one of the hallways in the back, and they called it the bad boy area behind the doors. And I saw what was a shadow kind of walk by the door, and I was like, oh, it was probably just one of them walking by. So I went back there, and I wasn't allowed back there. Some people weren't allowed back there, mostly women. And I went to check and make sure or see if everyone was asleep. And at that time, they didn't have anybody up and no wanderers, because sometimes the guys back there would just walk around until they were ready to go to bed. Another paranormal experience I had while working here was down on the 2B hall. And that's when I had noticed a shadow by the door. And one of the clients usually walked up to the door and he'd look out the window. And every time he'd see me or I'd walk by, he'd wave or just have a big smile on his face. And so I just thought it was one of them. When I went back and double checked to ask if anyone was up or walking around, they had said everybody was in their bed. And it was behind the doors too. So you just saw like this head. So that's why I thought it was one of them back there. But it was just like a glance. And then when I walked back to like look, because usually I would wave at the guy, because every time he saw me, he'd get all excited. So I turned around and went back and he wasn't there. I don't know if it's really like anything weird. I just worked like a night shift one time. Okay. And I was with like a one-on-one in one of his rooms, and he was getting ready to like pass away. But his room was like down that hall and like the first room on the right, I'm pretty sure. And I had saw something like move past the door, because where I was sitting, I was in a chair where I could see out there, but also like keep an eye on him. So I was more kind of like relaxed in this chair reading a book. And I got up to look and see if anyone was like walking by, like doing their rounds, because I was gonna use the restroom, but there was nobody out there. Yeah, there was one time I was walking down that hallway, and it would have been another incident or nighttime where I was leaving the break room, because he worked down there and I'd usually go talk to him or whatever. And that time was when I was walking past the kitchen, and if you walked past one of the doors, like if you look in this door as you're walking by, you can see where the kitchen was and like the windows. And it looked like there was somebody standing there cooking, but this is like 9 o'clock at night and all of the kitchen staff were gone. And it just lingered. And I was like, oh.